Okay, tonight is Genesis chapter 36.
Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. And Adah bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Reuel, and Aholibamah bare Jush, and Jalem, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan.
Now that Isaac has died at the end of chapter 35, it would appear that the rest of Genesis is in essence to tell the story of his two sons and their descendants, his two sons Esau and Jacob. Now, as we know, Jacob was the one that was going to be the one who the promise was going to go through. His sons would become the house of Israel. So I mean, that's the story. So Esau is kind of the forgotten one, right? But chapter 36 is used to tell what little story is going to be about Esau and his descendants, right? So that's kind of how it's going to shake out, right? Here in 36 it says, now these are the generations of Esau, right? And then in 37 it'll pick up the story of Jacob, right? Now in this particular chapter, and in the first verse, it says, generation of Esau, who is Edom. Now, what does Edom mean? Well, Edom basically means red, the color red, and it could be applied to Esau for a couple of reasons. I mean, on the one hand, when he was born, it says he was red all over. You know, he had red hair, so I mean, you know, he could easily be nicknamed Red. All right, the people, you know, today, if somebody's named Red, they probably say they have red hair. So I mean, that's one way. All right. However, there was actually a verse that referred to this name being applied to him, and it's in Genesis chapter 25. Verse 30, which was the time when Esau came in from the field and Jacob was making the lentil, the pottage, and Esau wanted it, and then he was willing to even to give up his birthright just to have dinner, right? So it says there that in the verse it says, and Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Edom. Okay, so the pottage that he sold his birthright for was also red. So it says right there, therefore was his name called Edom. So it goes back to that Esau was named Edom in whatever way that means from that time forward. And so that's why here in the first verse of this chapter it refers back to that. It's the generation of Esau, who is Edom. Right, now it goes into a little bit about who his wives were. Right, now it says his wives were Canaanite women. They were Gentiles, they were unbelievers, and as you may recall, at the time that that he had married them, it said his parents were not happy. All right, Isaac and Rebekah, they were not happy that he was taking these women to be wives. Right, so you kind of knew at that time that the promise wasn't going through him. All right, because he was really off the path, marrying outside the faith and so forth. Right, but these are their names. Right, and you see it says Esau had a total of 5 sons, right, and that's most likely all that he had. That's all that are named in the scripture, right, and you can find their names in here. In verse 4 it says one called Eliphaz, who was born to one wife. Reuel was born to a second one, and then 3 more to a third one: Jush, Jalem, and Korah. Right, and again the names don't really mean a whole lot because there's no further mention of them beyond this chapter. So really this chapter is just for completeness in terms of naming the wives of Esau, the sons of Esau, and some of their sons as well.
And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters, and all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance, which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir.
These verses, it describes that kind of what happened when Jacob had returned to the area where, the previous chapter said that Esau and Jacob kind of came back together and they talked, and Esau had invited Jacob to come to where he was. Jacob didn't really want to go there, but still, at this point, it would actually sound like, based on their growing households, their growing belongings, their growing livestock, or whatever. It says that Esau decided to relocate, right? Kind of this land's not big enough for the both of us, kind of thing, right? So it doesn't seem to indicate with any hostility. It was just more a matter of logistics, that we're both getting too big for the area that we're living in. So that's why it says that he took everything which he had gotten in Canaan and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. It says, for their riches were more than that they might dwell together. All right, and the land where they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle. So they weren't, they weren't necessarily close anyway. That's what it says, the land wherein they were strangers. Right, they weren't really close anyhow. Their cattle, everything was growing to the point where the land really couldn't handle both of them. So Esau decided to be the bigger man in this case and move to another area. This way he could start in that area and leave the other land for Jacob. It says that thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir, which is where he would have gone. All right, and now him in this particular place called Mount Seir, now as it mentions in 9, it says these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, the red people, in Mount Seir. Okay, so really the rest of the chapter is going to be that as it goes through some of his genealogy.
These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Bashemath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, and she bare to Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Reuel: Nahath and Zerah, Shammah and Mizah. These were the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife.
If you read these, there's some interspersing of the verses in terms of, it doesn't just necessarily go down one path and then the next, as it kind of seems to be jumps around a little bit. But these verses mainly talk about the grandsons of Esau through his first two sons, Eliphaz and Reuel, right? Although others are mentioned. But then it's interesting that it says, though, that the grandsons are listed as sons of their respective grandmothers. Okay, that as you see in where is it? In verse 12, all right, it talks about the sons of Eliphaz, who was Esau's sons, so that's his grandsons. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. Right, so I mean, they weren't the sons; they were the grandsons. And the same thing in verse 13. This is the sons of Reuel, says were the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife. But again, not the sons, but the grandsons. I would assume that it was just trying to keep it straight in terms of which wife goes with which. I mean, kind of like what I had done here with Jacob, right? That there were 12 sons, one daughter, but 4 mothers. So they all come from Jacob, but some come from one mother, another one. So that's kind of what it's doing here. Is it's listing it by the mother, because there were multiple mothers involved. So that this way you can keep track of who goes with which woman in this case.
And these were the sons of Aholibamah, the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon, Esau's wife, and she bare to Esau Jush and Jalem and Korah. These were the dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau: Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz, Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Adah. And these are the sons of Reuel, Esau's son: Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Shammah, Duke Mizah. These are the dukes that came of Reuel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of Bashemath, Esau's wife.
These verses, some of the descendants were referred to as dukes, which would be kind of a position of royalty. And really, when you think about who Esau was, he was the unspiritual man, so he was more interested in things. He got really mad that his brother had stolen his birthright and blessing in his estimation. But because it meant a loss of things, all right. So he was more interested in the possessions of life, the material possessions. He relocated to a bigger plot of land so he could continue to expand his empire, so to speak. So it's not too surprising that his descendants would have gotten involved in, being dukes and royalty and so forth, wealthy people. I mean, successful people in life, but not spiritual people. So they followed in their patriarchs' steps in terms of that. So that, and perhaps even that's why it's mentioned here, to show that these were the descendants of Esau, those who became dukes and so forth, as opposed to being men of God.
And these are the sons of Aholibama, Esau's wife: Duke Jush, Duke Jalem, Duke Korah. These were the dukes that came of Aholibama, the daughter of Anah, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, who was Edom, and these are their dukes. These are the sons of Seir the Horite, who inhabited the land: Lotan and Shobai and Zibeon and Anah. And Dishon and Ezer and Dishan. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir in the land of Edom. And the children of Lotan were Horai and Hemam, and Lotan's sister was Timnah. And the children of Shobai were these: Alvan and Manahath and Ebai, Shepho and Onam. And these are the children of Zibeon, both Ajah and Anah. This was that Anah that found the mules in the wilderness, as he fed the asses of Zibeon his father. And the children of Anah were these: Dishon and Aholibama, the daughter of Anah. And these are the children of Dishon: Herndon and Eshban and Ithran and Cheran. The children of Ezar are these: Bilhan and Zavan and Akan. The children of Dishan are these: Uz and Aran. These are the dukes that came of the Horites: Duke Lotan, Duke Shobal, Duke Zibeon, Duke Anah. Duke Dishon, Duke Ezer, Duke Dishan. These are the dukes that came of Horai among their dukes in the land of Seir.
Okay, we kind of just ran through a long list of names here, and again, the names aren't necessarily that important, but these are all the ones that come from the other wife of Esau, the one referred to as Aholibama, all right, in verse 18, all right. These are the sons of Aholibama, Esau's wife, which includes sons and grandsons. Notice there's dukes here as well, as we said earlier. So again, just kind of filling out the family tree. We mainly can include this for completeness sake. Right? Again, these names never come up again, so that's why we're not putting them on the board or anything, because it would just fill the board for no reason. But again, these are the names of the descendants of Esau. So in essence, these were descendants of Abraham and Isaac. Right, but it was the Jacob line that was going to be the line that was bringing forth David, Solomon, Jesus, and so forth. So these names are just included here for completeness sake.
And these are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom, before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. And Bela, the son of Beor, reigned in Edom, and the name of his city was Dinhabah. And Bela died, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Basra, reigned in his stead. And Jobab died, and Husham of the land of Temani reigned in his stead. And Husham died, and Hadad, the son of Bedad, who smote Midian in the field of Moab, reigned in his stead, and the name of his city was Avith. And Hadad died, and Samiah of Masrekah reigned in his stead. And Samiah died, and Saul of Rehoboth by the river reigned in his stead. And Saul died, and Balhanan, the son of Achbor, reigned in his stead. And Balhanan, the son of Achbor, died, and Hadar reigned in his stead. And the name of his city was Pau, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab.
This section kind of runs through some kings who were over that land at the time. It says in 31. These are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom before there reigned any king over the children of Israel. Right? The history of kings over Israel is still way in the future. Right? But in this particular area, right, where it was Esau's descendants, these were kings over the land. Now, I mean, it doesn't. I was looking at some of these names to see if any of them linked, back to the previous verses about the different descendants. I don't see any connection in that regard, right? But yet, if they were living in Edom, and Edom was the place designated for Esau's descendants, probably these kings were also of the descendants of Esau, which would have meant he brought forth kings, as well as dukes. but again, it doesn't really matter that much. But as it says here, these are all the kings that reigned in the land of Edom, and so from a history perspective, it gives you an idea of the names of the kings, and probably they were somehow related to Esau's descendants because that was the land that was chosen and set aside for him.
And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau, according to their families, after their places by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jedith, Duke Aholibama, Duke Elah, Duke Pinon, Duke Kenaz, Duke Teman, Duke Mibzar, Duke Magdiel, Duke Iram. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites.
Okay, and finishing up the chapter, there's again a few more dukes listed here, which finishes the list of what's going to be included in this chapter. And again, I'll just repeat what I said earlier. I mean, this chapter is not one you would typically study, and there's not a whole lot to say about it. But it's included here for completeness, maybe fairness. As we said back in the first verse, it says, now these are the generations of Esau. And then the next chapter, chapter 37, starts out and says, these are the generations of Jacob. So happens there's only one chapter to write about the generations of Esau, and then there's many chapters to write about the generations of Jacob. So this is the Esau chapter. The rest are going to be Jacob's chapters starting after this.